bend the tree from it young. Steve McClaren is what, 64 years old? You're going to be micromanaging a 64-year-old, and you think that that's going to go well? And you think that a 64-year-old who has worked with arguably the greatest manager ever, that be it Sir Alex Ferguson and Manchester United, where he has won accolades with said club, Champions League, English champions, FA Cup winner, you'll think that he's going to be comfortable with being micromanaged at this point of his career. And obviously he's won individual accolades away from Manchester United as well. Do you think at 64 years old, now is the time to be going to work with him and holding his hands and all is going to be well? I think that's something that is new to him. I think that is probably a new experience. I'm not sure how well that's going to go down in the changing room in terms of any relationship building or relationship breakdown there with the Jamaica Football Federation and, Mr. Ricketts and also Rudolph Speid. It gives us, it's coming across as selfishness, greed, and it's just being, it's quite nasty. I think it's quite nasty. I think you appointed him to do a job, let him do his job. If you don't trust him, then fire him. But you probably don't want to fire him because you know the payout is something that you don't particularly want to do. So what other way to go about doing things? Probably wait for him to slip up and come to some form of mutual agreement. And then, he packs his bag, he goes, someone else comes in as an interim head coach. Probably won't need to look far for an interim head coach because you already have a head coach there. You already have a coach there with accolades in his back pocket. So I think it's nasty work. I think, if you no longer want him as the head coach for the senior men's national team, then just be upfront about it. Don't be sneaky, because this does come across as being extremely sneaky. It just comes across as a stepping stone. It just comes across as being a stepping stone, and it's only going to lead to one thing. In some people's eyes, in a lot of people's eyes, this is only going to lead to one thing. And for some people, it's a case of it's going to lead to Mr. Speid eventually being the head coach of the Reggae Boyz. So it's interesting times, but I do feel sorry for McClaren, irrespective of how or what people might think of him. Would you like it being done to you? Probably not. And also another thing that really puzzles me with this appointment here, where Mr. Speid is the advisor. So he is the advisor to McClaren, 64-year-old McClaren. Speid is going to be his advisor. I think the best advisor McClaren's ever had in his career, no doubt, is Sir Alex Ferguson. Right? So how much can Mr. Speid really advise a manager who's out succeeded him? And that's not debatable. You guys can debate with it if you want, but it's not debatable. He has out succeeded him. So how much can he advise a manager who has out succeeded him? What are you going to advise him on? How to win the Jamaica Premier League? What is it that you're going to advise McClaren on? And again, put aside your personal feelings towards him. What are you going to advise him on at 64 years old? 64 years old, Steve McClaren. He has won things. Yes, he has won things under Sir Alex Ferguson, but even away from Sir Alex Ferguson, on his own, he has still won things. So what are you going to advise him at his ripe age? That's something that I want to know. And also, when did the Jamaica Football Federation realize that Mr. Speid needed to be by Steve McClaren's side? Because essentially, that's what you're saying. When a person is being micromanaged, unless I am looking at this poorly, unless I'm looking at this from the wrong perspective, but when in a business sense, when you're being micromanaged, to me, it says that your boss don't trust you. Your boss don't trust you. You're probably a slow learner. They're not happy with your work rate. They're not happy with your input. And so they feel like they need to hold your hand and make sure that the work gets done. And I should think at his age, with all that he has achieved on his own, again, away from Manchester United, I should think that that must come across as a bit of an insult. It does feel a little bit insulting. Because, you know, when your boss is micromanaging you, oftentimes they do it with excessive control. They do it with excessive control, and they pay great attention to minor details. It's minor, it's not that big of a deal, but because they're there to pretty much say, gotcha, or I told you that you can't do it without me, they're paying tremendous attention to minor details. And that can stress people out. That can really stress, especially if you're not used to being micromanaged. If you're not used to being micromanaged, that can seriously, like, you can lose the plot. He's going to end up doing his head in. Mr. Speid is going to end up doing McClaren's head in. I'm telling you right now, he's going to lose the plot, because I don't think this is something that he's used to. And he's going to be getting educated by someone that has not out-muscled him with their success. He hasn't out-muscled him. If you're talking about accolades, he has not out-muscled him. He hasn't. He has not out-muscled him. So I think that's going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on in terms of what could potentially happen in the future in relation to those two and their relationship. And, you know, going back to what I said with regards to when did the Jamaica Football Federation realize that McClaren wasn't the right fit, or that McClaren needed Mr. Speid by his side? Another thing that I want to ask the Jamaica Football Federation is, on the back end of that, what were the merits that prompted you to say to yourself that McClaren is the right person to hire? So what merits was Mr. Steve McClaren hired on? What were the merits? Because surely those merits should still exist. You see what I'm saying? So it's not really making sense. But as I said, as ever, when it comes to Jamaica football, a lot of things don't make sense. And I'm looking at this appointment and I'm thinking to myself, what does this mean for the Reggae Girls? I'm really looking and I'm thinking, what does this mean for them? Because based on my observation, and this is not factual, based on my observation, it does appear as if both head coaches there for the men's team and the women's team, the senior team, that they have good respect of each other, right? They respect each other, they wish each other well. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, with Mr. Speid in the mix, and we all know Mr. Speid and the Reggae Girls, they're like Marmite to each other, or perhaps not, maybe I'm being a little bit polite, but it's safe to say that they probably don't see eye to eye. So I'm wondering, could this interrupt the what I think is a relationship between both head coaches, with Speid being in the middle, cause any disruption between the two, right? But again, we won't know the outcome of any of that, or the answer to that, until a later date.
I'm John Barnes, and you're watching Talawa TV with Crystal Davis.